One. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ladies' Tale podcast. Yes, it's just me, Jade, by myself. I mean, I sound so professional, y'all. Like it's weird. I'm about to say words, and no one's about to be like, "And I have something to say." I miss Winona. Unfortunately, she's ill today, so she can't be with us. All right, I guess that's enough banter because bantering by yourself is not so funny. Maybe it is. Who knows? Anyway, we wrote literary life guides for power poetry, and I thought the voice was bad with other life lessons, and I thought being grown up was easy if only I were me, a memoir in verse. Foreign Coffee and the Widow's Web series, all of those you can get where you get your audiobooks, and you can check out my favorite book, And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone, on our website, www.andithoughtLadies.com, or Amazon, if you just want to read it, whatever. I would be excited to have you there. All right. So y'all aren't here to hear about me ramble on and on about books and how Winona's not here and I'm sad. You're here to hear from my wonderful guest. Wonderful guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Julie Anderson. I'm the executive editor of two Metro Daily newspapers, the Orlando Sentinel and the South Florida Sun Sentinel, which is based in Fort Lauderdale. Always wanted to be a journalist, and I stuck with it. I took a kind of a weird path to get there, but now I'm at the top of my two newsrooms and having a lot of fun at it.
Okay, so I have to ask, what is the weird path?
The weird path. So, I was for about 10 years, I was a reporter and an editor, which is very traditional, thing that you do in newspapers. And then about 1994, there was something called the commercial online services kind of hit the scene. So if you ever remember Prodigy or AOL or CompuServe, and it was the beginning, it was right before the World Wide Web was invented. So I had an opportunity to kind of plunge into that. And I had a mentor who said, "You want to start an online service?" And I said, "Okay, what does that mean?" And he said, I had some ideas about what might work. And I thought about a travel service around Florida, about Florida. And he said, let's do that. And so I did that, and it sort of took my career in a whole different direction, where I basically learned all about the web and how to publish on the web. And then I ended up doing a lot of different startups and, and then teaching journalists how to publish on the web. So that's how kind of my career took off.
Wow, that is an interesting path. And I'm trying to, a world without the internet. That's sad. I'm sad. So, as you said, that this really helped your career. So it wasn't like a traditional move that you would have normally made probably to get where you are today. But would you say that like making that untraditional move helped you? And would you advise other people to do that? Like I'm a writer, right? And I write pop poetry. That's not traditional.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I don't think I would have ended up where I'm at if I hadn't done that. Because what happened is in my profession, which was newspapers, kind of an old time medium, was being disrupted by the internet. And so everybody in my profession needed to learn about it. But everybody was, number one, back in the 90s, everybody dismissed it. They didn't think it was any big deal. They thought it was, for nerds, and it just wasn't for serious journalists. And so most journalists really didn't pay that much attention to it. I was fascinated by it. I thought it was really interesting. And, in my profession, you have to work very, very hard to get up the ladder. And this gave me a way around that difficult path and try something new. So yeah, I say if I hadn't taken that risk early in my career, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Wow, that is amazing, and I thank you for sharing that story. Like, I appreciate that so much. So you always wanted to be a journalist, or did you just even even when you were a child, did you just want to write, or did you want to know all the stories?
I love to write. I was really big into creative writing as a teenager, but no, I think I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be a sports reporter, and there weren't any. I'm old, but there weren't any women sports reporters in the 70s when I was growing up. And so that's what I kind of wanted to do that. And then later I thought, oh, I want to be a political reporter. But so, yeah, I always wanted to be a journalist.
Wow. That's amazing. In a sports job. Wow. In the 70s. Yeah. Oh, so you were always a groundbreaker. So you were always a groundbreaker. So I
Well,
see why you
I
jumped
didn't,
over the 90s.
yeah, I didn't know it at the time, but my parents always, this is really dating myself. I'm 59. So when I grew up, uh, there were three jobs that women got. It was a nurse, a teacher, or, well, let's say a nurse, a teacher, and like a lunchroom lady. And so those are the kind of things that, when you saw books, uh, and things like that, that's what women were steered toward. But my parents always said, no, you can do whatever you want. And I always had that in mind. I never thought about limitations. So yeah, the idea of being a sports reporter I didn't think that was weird, because I love sports and I love to write. It seemed natural.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So what career advice would you give people that are just trying to be writers or journalists out here that are just getting started and trying to find their way in this crazy writing world that we live in?
Yeah, so I look at resumes a lot, and I hire people all the time. And so I think the thing that I look for, number one, if you want to be a writer, you have to get published. You have to write and you have to get published, because we don't hire anybody who's not has not already been published somewhere else. Um, and it doesn't really matter how small the publication is. Like we used to hire, and we still do. We hire reporters and journalists from much smaller newspapers. It really is, the quality of the work that you're showing is all that matters. So you just have to get published.
That's fabulous. That is absolutely fabulous. Thank you for that advice, because I think a lot of us, as we're trying to get published, or we're thinking, well, maybe it's not that important, but it is. So thank you for that. I really
Yeah, it's
appreciate it.
everything.
Y'all take it from the editor-in-chief. It's everything. So let's get out our spreadsheets and try to send those things out to magazines and try to get into one of them. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and hang out in the like the Ladies Tale podcast today. We really appreciate it. So where can people find out more about your newspaper, maybe even subscribe your newspapers?
Sure. So one of them is Orlando Sentinel, sentinel.com. Has about 6 million users a month. And the other one is sunsentinel.com. So sunsentinel.com. And that's also about the same size.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'll go ahead and I'll wrap this up. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andithoughitladies.com. While you're there, take a moment, go to the middle of the page and see the charities that we probably support. Maybe you can support them also. We thank you in advance for that. And just remember, y'all, wisdom is all around you if you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love from Jade and the missing Winona. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, thanks for listening.